Carvalho, Chapter 10. Mandana, who had promised to get the pod bees into the bee box, didn't turn up for a long time. Nor did I feel the need to look him up. Once or twice, Carvalho stopped me and asked me the whereabouts of Mandana. Then one day, Mandana's presence became an absolute necessity. As we sat eating our lunch, we heard a strange roaring sound, as of waters gushing forth when a reservoir bursts. I rushed out without washing my hand. Pyara, my wife, and my little daughter came running behind me. We could see anything, but the sound was all around us, pressing. Then Pyara shouted, "Saab, it is the bees," over the lumber room where we stock firewood. I ran and saw thousands and thousands of bees circling around at a frightening speed. The space above the room was overcast with clouds of bees. Slowly and stealthily, I walked near the room and peeped in. Pyara had thrown away a broken water jug, face down. The bees were orbiting it, some going in and some out. Then I recalled what I had seen the previous evening. I had gone there to get the mouse trap and then seen a couple of bees hovering around the mouth of the jug. As they hummed near its mouth, a conch-like sound, boom, boom, came out of it. Perhaps it was their way of measuring the width and depth of the jug. I had not understood it then. As Pyara and I were watching, the entire swarm of the bees in one moment vanished into the jungle. There wasn't one left. The bees which had come home on their own, I thought, should be put into the bee box. And for that, I needed Mandana. But getting him to my house was the problem. I didn't know where he stayed. I sent for Norway Ramya and asked him. He said, "Sir, he had come once with Carvalho, and afterwards I haven't seen him." Is he all right? Does he have any problems? Is anything bothering him? No problem, sir, but his mother is dead keen on getting him married. She wanted me to give him my daughter. But I said, "Look, what has he got? No job, no salary, and please don't speak of it to me again." There it ended. This, I guessed, was why he was sulking and wouldn't show himself. And the poor fellow was obsessed with his wedding. Disappointed, he must be hiding in some place now. "Will you go and fetch him?" I asked. "I can't, sir. I have rejected his proposal, and he is not pleased with me, and so it wouldn't be proper for me to go. If you want, I shall send word." I was fed up with their tangled personal problems, but still I asked him to do that, as I had to see Mandana. For the kitchen, we needed firewood, and if we pulled out any there was the possibility of the jug falling off. Moreover, my wife had begun to pester me to do something about the bees, but people who carried Norway Ramaya's message returned to say that Mandana was indifferent to the world, that he was too busy, was needed in his place to keep the pigs off his fields. In short, they were unceremoniously dismissed. The rascal has let me down when I needed him most, I said to myself, and went to the Bee Society, Lakshmana, for help. He was willing, but there weren't any bee boxes. "Why don't you ask Mandana, sir? He will get you one for half the market rate," he said. "I haven't seen him at all these days. I sent word, but he didn't come. He is a strange fellow, sir. When he is in his mood, he is all right. And when he is not, there's no knowing how he will behave." So the problem stayed with us. I decided to carry the jug and leave it in the forest. Late in the night, Pyara and I took it and put it beyond the hedge of our farmland. The morning presented me with a fresh problem. The bees, which had gone to collect honey, came back, and not finding the jug created a pandemonium. I asked Pyara to pull out as much firewood as we needed and suggested that we put the jug back in its place in the night. The bees, perhaps assuming that it was all due to Pyara's monkeying, stung him as he pulled out firewood from the pile. By restoring the jug into its original place, we didn't solve anything. The bees, which had left in the morning, went to the place where he had left the jug the previous night and began to hum around. Till evening they were there, and later, when dusk fell, they hung onto a dry twig and sat. They were there for a couple of days and would not move. Worried, I took the twig and the bees along with it and put it into the jug. The bees in the jug had perhaps forgotten their mates and began attacking them. I fled. Hundreds of bees started, as it were, a hand-to-hand fight, and wrestled and fell down dead. The battle of the bees made me despair for any solution to the vexed problem, and I retired. Around noon, the noise as of rushing waters began again. I saw a swarm of bees like a cloud over the pile of firewood, and then, in a flash, they all vanished. I looked into the lumber room. Thousands of bees had fallen dead in the battle, and now ants were marching in to feast over the honey and the dead bees. That is why I guessed the bees with their eggs and young ones had left the place so suddenly. I cursed Mandana, who did not turn up when I wanted him the most.